Millions of Americans who depend on SNAP, the federal food stamp program, are about to see major updates take effect beginning in November. These changes come directly from the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which was signed into law on July 4th. States have been given 120 days to enforce the new rules. For anyone relying on SNAP, these changes could determine how much help they receive or whether they qualify at all, just as the holiday season approaches. The Congressional Budget Office confirmed that the government will cut $187 billion from SNAP between now and 2034. That is one of the largest reductions in food assistance funding in decades. The goal, according to federal planners, is to reduce spending and shift more responsibility to states. But the reality is simple: fewer people will qualify, and benefit levels may stay frozen even as prices rise. By 2034, about 2.4 million fewer Americans each month will receive food assistance. That is roughly the same as eliminating every SNAP household in Alabama and Kentucky combined. Behind each number is a working parent, a retiree, or a veteran who depends on that help just to afford fresh food. These are not statistics. They are families who will feel the loss directly at the grocery store checkout. One of the most sweeping changes expands the SNAP work rule from age 54 to age 65. Every adult between 18 and 64 must now work at least 80 hours each month to continue receiving benefits for longer than 3 months in a 3-year period. That means a 63-year-old with health problems who may have once been exempt will now need to meet the same work standards as someone in their 20s. States can request temporary waivers if unemployment in a region is at least 10%, but those waivers are limited. Only Alaska and Hawaii qualify automatically if their jobless rate is 150% above the national average. For older adults, this change feels like a new pressure point, forcing many to look for low-wage, physical jobs simply to keep food on the table. Parents with dependent children used to be broadly exempt from work rules. Under the new law, that protection now applies only to those with children 13 or younger. Single mothers or fathers raising teenagers will have to prove that they work the full 80 hours each month to remain eligible. Balancing 2 part-time jobs, school schedules, and childcare already pushes families to the limit. This rule adds more paperwork and more risk of losing benefits. Another major rollback eliminates previous exemptions for homeless individuals, veterans, and young adults who aged out of foster care. These are people who often face barriers to stable work, lack of transportation, mental health issues, or unstable housing. Removing their exemptions means thousands could lose food aid even while struggling to rebuild their lives. Advocates across the country warn that this change could deepen hunger among the very groups once considered most in need of support. The act also rewrites eligibility for immigrants. Until now, some immigrants, such as longtime residents admitted before 1948, those paroled into the country, or those the government had decided not to deport, could still receive SNAP if they met income limits. Those exceptions are gone. Only U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents will continue to qualify, with very few exceptions. According to federal estimates, about 90,000 people per month will lose access because of this change. The White House argues that it will prevent fraud and ensure that aid reaches eligible Americans. Civil rights and immigration groups say it will instead punish longtime community members and families where some members are citizens and others are not. A technical rule with big consequences. The Thrifty food plan, which determines how much households receive, is now frozen. This plan measures the cost of a basic healthy diet and drives the maximum SNAP benefit. It was last updated in 2021. Under the new law, it cannot be reevaluated again before October 1st, 2027, and all future updates must be cost neutral, meaning they cannot increase overall spending even if food prices climb. That locks benefits near current levels. For example, A 5-person household now receives a maximum of $1,183 per month, up only slightly from $1,158. With prices still rising, many families will feel their purchasing power shrink each year. Starting October 1st, 2026, states will face new financial pressure. The federal share of administrative costs drops from 50% to 25%, forcing states to fund most of their SNAP operations. If a state's payment error rate, cases of over or underpayment, or incorrect approvals, exceeds 6%, that state will have to pay additional penalties. Only 9 states met that standard in 2024. Others, including large systems like Florida, risk heavy costs. Florida officials estimate an extra $50 million just for administration and potentially $1 billion per year in penalties if errors persist. When states face such penalties, they often respond by tightening approvals or delaying applications, which can make it harder for eligible households to get timely help. The groups projected to feel the greatest impact include adults aged 55 to 64 who will now face work rules, single parents raising teens older than 13, homeless individuals and veterans who lose exemptions, immigrant families affected by the new legal status limits. There is one small offset. Members of federally recognized Indian tribes will gain new eligibility protections that may raise participation slightly in tribal regions. But the nationwide effect remains a significant overall reduction in coverage. Behind these regulations are real people. A laid-off 58-year-old who now must document 80 hours of work a month. A mother of 2 teenagers who may lose assistance because her children are too old to qualify her for exemption. A veteran living in a car, still waiting for housing help. When benefits are reduced, hunger doesn't disappear. It simply moves out of sight. Communities will feel the strain through food banks, shelters, and local charities already stretched thin. Every policy line translates into a household decision about whether to buy groceries, pay the electric bill, or refill a prescription. All of these changes technically took effect when the bill was enacted on July 4th, but enforcement begins after the 120-day implementation period. That is, starting this November. Households should prepare by confirming their current SNAP status and understanding the new requirements. States with unemployment above 10% may still qualify for temporary waivers, but most areas will need to apply the federal standards exactly as written. For those approaching retirement age or caring for older relatives, the expansion of work rules will require new documentation. Parents of teenagers should plan for monthly reporting, and immigrants with pending status should verify eligibility with local agencies. The SNAP changes under the One Big Beautiful Bill mark one of the most significant food assistance overhauls in modern history. They combine budget reductions, stricter eligibility, and cost limits that will affect tens of millions of households. While the policy intent is to reduce waste and dependency, the outcome for many will be tighter budgets and tougher choices. Understanding these details early can help families prepare by seeking job training programs, verifying exemption status, and staying informed through official USDA and state agency updates. Knowledge remains the best defense against sudden policy shifts. No one should be caught off guard when their next benefit cycle arrives. These November changes are coming quickly, and their effects will reach into every community, from cities to rural towns. The best step now is awareness. Here on Social Security Post, the goal is to keep you informed and ready. As more federal guidance is released from the USDA and state agencies, those updates will be explained in detail so families know exactly what to expect. Stay informed, stay prepared, and remember, strength comes from understanding the rules before they affect you.